Hello, I'm back from vacation. Not that you knew that unless you check into my Twitch streams, which by the way, you should. I'm back from Hawaii with a little bit of a tan. I actually made a vlog of my time in Hawaii that I am going to be posting for members only access here pretty soon.
So we both drank too much last night and we're hungover, but that's okay because we only have a 6-hour flight.
It was 5 relatively chill days that I spent with my girlfriend, went surfing, hiking, all of that. It was awesome. And I would love for you to see it. So go ahead and click that join button if you're curious about what's going on in my life when I'm not filming here. But I've returned from my vacation to bring you some wise words about a jutsu that's very popular, but you may not fully understand. That's right. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking the Chidori. Before we get to talking about anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And hey, maybe if you're feeling generous, hit that join button. But before we get into all that, guys, today I want to talk to you about a sponsor we've seen on this page before. A sponsor who does something I believe very strongly in, and that's protecting you online with the use of a VPN. Today, we're talking Surfshark. I've used Surfshark for a long time. Listen, to get the lore that I dig up, I have to dive into the darkest and deepest parts of the internet, and I need to be protected while I do that. Surfshark VPN keeps me safe online by encrypting all of my data. That way it's not leaked out onto the internet or sold by big companies. I don't need the real world Akatsuki knowing where I sleep at night. But since we're talking about addresses, let's talk about how you can change yours. Surfshark has 3,200 servers based in 65 different countries. Heaven forbid the Chainsaw Man anime is only available in Japan, you just switch over to a server in Japan and you got it. Or maybe you just bought a new Steam Deck or a Switch and you can't stop gaming anywhere you go. You want to protect that purchase. And when you connect to these public Wi-Fi spots, those are gold mines for hackers. Connect to a public Wi-Fi spot in an airport and before you know it, that Steam account's no longer yours. And listen, we all know people who have clicked on the "you're the 1,000th person to visit this website" links before, right? Listen, sometimes it's me. How am I going to turn down that good of an offer? But Surfshark's clean web functionality stops phishing attempts, malware, and ads. And while they're busting their behinds to make sure you're safe on the internet, they do not track or keep any of your information. So what are you guys waiting for? Use code HAMMER23 at checkout for 83% off and 3 months free. If you can protect your forehead, you can protect your online identity. So let's start these videos off in the way that we tend to start these videos off and answer the easy questions. What is the Chidori? Well, in a literal sense, it's a lightning Rasengan. It is literally just the amalgamation of lightning chakra around one's hand that allows you to strike quickly at an enemy. But why do I say lightning Rasengan? Well, let's talk about how the Chidori came into existence. We all know that Kakashi was trained by Minato. Kakashi, Rin, Obito, all were on Team Minato. And we all know that Kakashi was a child genius. So Kakashi learned Minato's Rasengan at a very young age. In fact, younger than Minato was when he made the Rasengan. Kakashi was only about 12, 13 when he learned it, but Kakashi had an affinity for lightning release. And Minato actually always stood on the take that the Rasengan was a placeholder for other chakra natures to be added onto, because the Rasengan itself has no chakra nature. It is just simply chakra, highly compact and spiralized chakra, but still just chakra. So Kakashi, who constantly wanted to impress Minato, decided to try and add lightning chakra release to this Rasengan, something that even Minato had been unsuccessful in achieving. But what Kakashi found is when he tried to add lightning release to his Rasengan, he just created Chidori. By switching the chakra nature of the pure chakra in his hand to that of lightning release, it created a glove of lightning release, and Chidori was made. However, the events of Boruto have shown to us that you can actually apply lightning release to a Rasengan successfully, and not make Chidori, that is. Boruto, by applying lightning release to a Rasengan, can make it disappear after it's thrown. So is Boruto more talented of a child genius than Kakashi was? You tell me? Well, for one, the vanishing Rasengan doesn't hurt your hand like the Chidori does, because even though it's not very focused on in the anime or even in the manga, the Chidori does hurt the hand of those who use it. And this makes sense when we consider the fact that Naruto's Rasen Shuriken hurt his hand because he was applying a chakra nature to a ball of chakra, and that Boruto's hyper compression Rasengan hurts his hand as well. So the Chidori hurting your hand isn't the craziest thing of all time. But in some moments in the manga and the anime, we've seen people who use the Chidori start to have the skin on their hands peel off or their hands begin to smolder. Obviously, this isn't massively detrimental because people spam the Chidori as much as people spam the Rasengan. And if the Chidori was like debilitatingly painful every time you used it, there wouldn't be people using it 10 times a day. That being being said, using Susanoo says it feels like every cell in your body is on fire, and people use that a lot, so maybe the pain tolerance is just higher. But why is the Chidori called the Chidori? Well, it's said that the amalgamation of the lightning chakra around your hand makes the sound of 1,000 chirping birds. And while yes, it's true that the word Chidori in Japanese translates directly to the English word plover, which is a type of a wading bird. A wading bird is a bird with long legs, walks around the beach, plucks its head into the water to pick out mites and small fish. The name Chidori comes from a Japanese folk story, and kind of a badass one too. There's a story about a samurai called Tachibana Dosetsu. Tachibana was a famous samurai in possession of a sword called Chidori, aka 1,000 birds. And one day during a storm, he was resting under a tree. And while we all know that's a good idea because storms mean lightning, I don't think he did know that. So when a bolt of lightning came down to strike him, he took out his Chidori and he sliced the bolt in half. And in Japanese mythology, in every bolt of lightning resided a thunder god. And by slicing this bolt of lightning in half, he sliced that thunder god in half. And therefore, he survived the thunderbolt. And after this event, he renamed his Chidori to Raikiri, also known in English as Lightning Cutter. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, then congratulations, you watched Naruto closely or many times, because Kakashi's Chidori is actually referred to as Raikiri, aka Lightning Cutter, because Kakashi's chakra control with his Chidori was so precise, he was able to slice a bolt of lightning in half. As to how the lightning cutter and a regular Chidori differ, we can only assume. It just seems like there's a certain level of finesse that goes into a lightning cutter, because all indications say that they're kind of the same thing. They're performed in the same way. They can't be used without the Sharingan. They're both electric releases. So for all intents and purposes, lightning cutter and Chidori seem to be interchangeable. But it's a cool little caveat and a tip of the cap moment to Kakashi. But speaking of Kakashi, he wasn't always as good at Chidori as he is now, because Kakashi created the Chidori before he had the Rasengan. And the Chidori has some major drawbacks. The Chidori, by and large, is a straightforward linear attack, largely used for assassinations, which you wouldn't think because it's the loudest jutsu in the history of jutsus, but the speed at which it's used makes it good for assassinations. Sure, you hear the 1,000 birds, but the time you hear it, it's too late. And here is the first of many misconceptions about the Chidori. People assume because of how much chakra the Chidori takes up that you get tunnel vision. That's actually not why you get tunnel vision while using the Chidori. The Chidori is associated with going incredibly fast in a straight line. The speed at which you travel in order to hit your target using the Chidori is why the user gets tunnel vision. On top of this, the fact that the attack is in a very straight line makes it very easy to counterattack. As long as you see where they're going, you'll be able to find out where they're gonna end up. So now you have a person heading in a straight line who can't see out the corners of their eyes. It's a very easy target. And for this reason and this reason alone, most people who don't have a dojutsu, and I say dojutsu for a reason I'll cover in a second, can't use the Chidori. See, in the traditional sense, the way we've seen to override this tunnel vision effect is by having a Sharingan. Sure, the jutsu that uses up more chakra than every other jutsu on Earth. Why don't we just tie that to the dojutsu that uses more chakra than every other dojutsu on Earth? Actually, to be fair, none of the dojutsus are very chakra efficient. Regardless, because a Sharingan heightens your perceptions and widens your vision, it counteracts this tunnel vision effect. But this is the point where I start to put my tinfoil hat on. Why only the Sharingan? You know, there's a dojutsu out there that is really good at widening your field of vision, and it's used by a group of people very good at not attacking in straight lines. Like, how have we never seen a Byakugan user be able to use the Chidori? Oh no, my vision's tunneling. Now I can only see 180 degrees. And I know, I said that the Sharingan and the Chidori is a very chakra depletive combo, and that technically the Byakugan uses more chakra than the Sharingan, but I'm having fun. It trigrams 64 Chidoris. Let's see how your chakra points feel after that one. I mean, we've already seen Twin Lion Fist out of Hinata, implying that the Hyugas know if they add chakra to their fists, their trigrams are gonna get a bit more powerful. They're like one step away. But since we're talking about chakra depletion, let's talk about chakra depletion. The Chidori, like I said, is very chakra depletive. Kakashi in part 1 of Naruto is said to only be able to use it 4 times a day. And then by the end of the show, he can use it infinity? I don't know, man. The war arc made no sense to anybody. How did Kakashi get more chakra don't even get me started on Sasuke. I mean, yeah, he's got the curse mark, and now he's got Itachi's eyes, but Itachi's eyes are also a massive drain on his chakra. He could use it twice a day in Naruto, and then now he's just using it on top of a Susanoo. But maybe, and just maybe, that only applies to regular Chidori, because there is many variations of the Chidori out there, both from Kakashi and from Sasuke, because the lightning cutter itself, I guess, is a variation of the Chidori, but we've also seen Kakashi put lightning cutters on both hands and use them to deflect powerful lightning attacks. This idea works very similar to the way that Itachi's Yata mirror works. By matching the chakra nature that's coming at you with your own chakra nature of that kind, you can deflect said ninjutsu. We even saw Kakashi have one of his shadow clones use lightning cutter and then connected that lightning cutter to his own lightning cutter to make an arc of lightning to wipe out a couple of opponents at once. This man made a lightning clothing line. And then obviously he can apply his lightning cutter to a kunai or a sword to give it better cutting power. Mom overcooks the turkey, do a little lightning cutter, it's like butter. But where the true variations of Chidori come in are Sasuke. Sasuke has shown multiple ways to just use the Chidori without even modifying it into something else. From a visual standpoint, his Chidori is white as opposed to Kakashi's blue. But it's not always white. In fact, Sasuke changes the color of it many times. You see, Sasuke achieved something with his Chidori that Kakashi didn't even necessarily dream possible. As the beginning of the Chidori was simply just trying to add lightning release to a Rasengan, to add something to something that was already added to something else seems kind of ridiculous. But in comes Sasuke. When Sasuke uses the Curse Seal of Heaven in combination with his Chidori, he gets the flapping Chidori. This Chidori doesn't sound like 1,000 chirping birds, it sounds like 1,000 birds flapping their wings. But outside of an auditory difference, it is also stronger and darker. Could this be because technically he might have added Senjutsu chakra to that Chidori? It's a possibility, since the Curse Seal of Heaven works by essentially allowing those who are sealed with it to access Senjutsu chakra. But we don't know for sure. Sasuke also has another dark Chidori. Sasuke has access to a Chidori called Onyx Chidori. And this Onyx Chidori happens when he is imbued with the chakra of the Sage of Six Paths. Because this is another in the long list of misconceptions about the Chidori, the Onyx Chidori is not Amaterasu. It is simply a visual change that depicts that this Chidori has been combined with Sage of Six Paths chakra. But why have this Onyx Chidori? For literally one specific purpose. A 10-tails Jinchuriki cannot be hurt by regular ninjutsu. You hit Jubito with a regular Chidori, nothing's gonna happen. Their body naturally negates ninjutsu. This is why Naruto had to use Senjutsu chakra. But since the Onyx Chidori was imbued with the Sage of Six Paths chakra, it was able to damage 10-tails Jinchuriki. And that's the open and the closed book on the Onyx Chidori. But Sasuke also has a third black Chidori. You're going through your emo phase. In Sasuke and Naruto's Valley of the End fight, at the end of Naruto, we see Sasuke combined Kagetsuchi, which is his Amaterasu flame control, with Chidori. Essentially, I'll break down how Amaterasu works between Itachi and Sasuke. Itachi is able to use Amaterasu, but Itachi's Amaterasu is a bit like a snub-nosed shotgun. He can just shoot it out at a short distance at things in front of him. But that's because his eyes were Amaterasu and Tsukiyomi. And Tsukiyomi is again Jutsu, while Sasuke's eyes have the ability of Amaterasu and Kagetsuchi. Amaterasu obviously allows him to have the black flames, and Kagetsuchi allows him to control the shape and speed and whatever of those flames. So he can apply his Amaterasu to his sword or his Chidori. We only ever see him use this in the final Valley Clash, where him and Naruto meet and their Rasengan and Chidori's combined strength destroys the statues at the Valley of the End. But in practice, it's absolutely terrifying. Now you have one of the fastest jutsus on the face of the earth that is already fatal as is, and if it doesn't kill you, it will get Amaterasu onto you. So there you are with a hole in your chest and also burning to death until that person, that being Sasuke, decides to either deactivate Amaterasu or you just burn to death. But outside of making his Chidori black in 3 different ways, Sasuke had a bunch of other clever ways to reinvent the Chidori. First of which are Chidori Senbon. Now we've seen basically everybody in the show make their own version of a Senbon. Hinata did it with water, Haku did it with ice, you get it. But Sasuke uses these Chidori Senbon in the way that I would want a Hyuga Chidori user to use them. Essentially, Sasuke can create these lightning Senbon and shoot them at his enemy's vital points. And by increasing the amount of chakra applied to this jutsu, he can increase the number of senbon. So in comes a Hyuga who can see chakra points, shoot an electric senbon into your chakra points, and now they can stretch you down from a distance. I swear I'm gonna make a Naruto OC one of these days. But this is more or less how Sasuke used it, because he used the senbon in tandem with his Sharingan. And while a Sharingan doesn't allow you to see chakra points, it does allow you to see vital points. And Sasuke, when imbued with the chakra of the nine-tailed beast, was able to make senbon so large they were able to counteract Naruto's Jin Cloak Rasen shurikens and tailed beast balls. But let's say the senbon aren't working on you. Well, he also has a spear, specifically a Chidori spear. Essentially, by applying a shape change to your Chidori, you're able to extend it to a maximum length of 5 meters. This is perfect for surprise attacks or if you've been immobilized. But it's not just a spear, it's actually a misleading term because it can be used as a sword. By extending this Chidori to 5 meters, you can swing it and slice things. On top of that, Sasuke can apply it to his sword of Kusanagi that he stole from Orochimaru and just have a lightning sword, but a lightning sword that's 5 meters long. And let's say you are unfortunate enough to get pierced by this. Well, it only hit me in the leg. I'm probably fine, right? No, because after the spear lands, it can extend into multiple different spears, making many more wounds in your body. In fact, it is this jutsu that allows Sasuke to literally bisect Jubidara. But let's say even that doesn't work on you. Well, last up we have Chidori Current. Chidori Current is more of a defensive move than anything. Essentially, Sasuke is able to channel his Chidori through much more than just his hands. By channeling his Chidori out of multiple parts of his body, he can shoot electrical current in 360 degrees. And while yes, this is a very good way to attack multiple targets at once, it is also used as an instant defense. Because if you get hit by this Chidori current, your body interprets the electricity coming from Sasuke as an electrical signal from your own nerves. This causes your body to stiffen up and for you to fall, while also taking a massive amount of damage from lightning release. But let's say you're not close enough to Sasuke to get hit by this relatively short range attack. Well, don't you worry, it can be channeled through the ground to increase its range, which if you ask me is a far cry from what we started at, which was you have lightning on your hand, you run in a straight line. But that's the beauty of Naruto, baby. Don't write a new jutsu, just change the one you got. And that's about everything we got on the Chidori. Hopefully you guys learned something new about a tried and true jutsu in the Naruto universe. And if you did, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you really like this video and maybe like me and you want to see what I get into on my weekends and my weekdays, hit that join button, get the behind the scenes vlogs, the extra Naruto content that I put out there, like recently when he talks about all the things I hate about the Rinnegan. And if you go super hard and you become a Jonin, well, you get a special shout out at the end of every video. Oh, and I forgot, Sasuke Susanoo can also use Chidori. Remember when he can only use it twice a day? Even though I despise Sasuke, I'd rather have the Chidori than the Rasengan.